All right. Hey everyone. Welcome to another edition of AppSmith Office Hours. So today we'll be discussing about like our latest features that we have released this week, and also we have Arpit and Rishabh from our A4 team who's going to discuss about some of the community issues that were pointed on the Discord channel. And we also have Sumit who's gonna give you a quick demo on the Amazon S3 integration, and we are gonna build out something on that. So we basically are going to build some CRUD operations on the S3 data source. All right, so let's get started by discussing about our latest features. So I'm gonna share my screen. Cool. All right. So the first thing is the intelligent JSON substitution. So whenever we are working on APIs, a lot of developer had issues with uh, uh, setting up the bodies as in uh, setting the data types here. So now we need not worry about that. Say if at all your data is in strings, or say if at all you missed strings sometimes, our intelligent JSON substitution will take care of that. So let me give you a quick example for that. So here I have created a form widget. I have four input uh, widgets here. So it's basically taking a string, number, boolean, array. So I've created a sample API on request bin just to give you a quick demo. So, so my goal here is basically taking out the inputs from the form and then posting it from the API. So I'm gonna send all my parameters in the body section. So here I had set out a few data types as string, number, boolean, and array. So in my form, I have added some of the things here. So I've declared string as Vihar, number as 19, boolean as true, and an array. So say if at all you are running this API, cool. Sorry about that. Cool. So we have the request here. So in this case, we have, like, how do I hide this?
Oh, you
Yeah,
just have to scroll right now. Yeah.
cool. So here I am turning off my smart JSON substitution and I am running the query. So here, say if it, so I'm requesting the data from the input widgets. So with the mustache operator. So in the string, we have Vihar as string, and 19 here is also set to string, but it's actually a number, and Boolean is also set to string. But uh, like whenever I am turning on my smart JSON substitution and running the query, so you can see all the data types are pretty much accurate here. And also you need not worry about uh, the strings here. Say if at all you missed any strings, or uh, like say if at all you have issues with your JSON formatting. So by turning on the smart JSON substitution, you can fix all this. So this is a quick example. So now you can see 19 as a number and true as a boolean. So this was one of the latest feature we have released in this week. And moving on, so we had added a lot of layout configurations on the pages. So to check out all the layout options on AppSmith, you can click on the icon button here. So as soon as you click on, you can see all the options that are available. So you can set out your layout options based on where your app is going to be deployed to. So you have desktop, tablets, mobile devices. So if at all you are setting out to mobile devices, you have your responsive thing, and you can also play with your widgets and deploy this. So these are some of the layout options we have added this week, and you also have this fluid width option. Say if at all you are working on large displays or like huge screens, you can set your layout option to fluid width. And so this is one of the cool feature this we have added this week. And lastly, we have also reduced the we have updated the Maven dependency sizes. So whenever you are setting up AppSmith on your local setup, you'll find it more faster. Like it's now 80% faster than before. So all your build sizes have been reduced. So if at all you are setting up AppSmith on any local instance, you should see them running in a very uh, fast. So the build size is basically optimized. So you'll see that running fastly. So these were the features that we have released this week. So we have a lot more coming up next week. So so next I'm gonna give it to Rishabh, who's gonna take you through some of the community issues that are raised on Discord channel. Sumit, you can go on. Sorry, Rishabh. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, so like this week, like mostly few issues, like few feature requests were there. That were so one of them was basically that we heard multiple times was the Git sync feature and moving applications across organization. So that is kind of a uh, like a like an advanced feature that is being planned, and I'm not sure about if we have an estimate on that. And apart from that, there were a couple of requests for ACL, like an authorization of policy layer. And also lastly, like a user had also requested uh, for custom widgets, basically using an iframe. So if they have something built on their own and they want to plug it in within AppScript. So these were largely the major like the advanced features that were requested. Apart from that, a couple of small issues were also there. So those include like displaying null as empty strings within the table. So that was like causing issues for people. So I think like we are actually like doing it on a priority as far as I know. And apart from that, there was a request for setting the page visibility using JavaScript. So like having a configurable page visibility.
Awesome. Uh,
So,
so Arpit, do you want to add anything on this? Like what we can see in the next release? All right. So moving on. So we have Sumit. So he's gonna take us through a quick demo on uh, like building an application use connecting to Amazon S3 data source. So Sumit, you can get started.
Thanks, Bihar. Let me share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a deployed application. So first I'll tell you about the application itself, and then I'll show how to build it. So this application allows a user to upload a file or download a file. So the file which will get downloaded is the one which you select in this table widget. So here we have an image displayer, a widget that displays image. So in this table, you can see there are a lot of files. So these are the files which are present in my Amazon S3 bucket right now. So there are a variety of files. You can see some are images, PNG files. There is a PDF. I also have an Excel file, and there is a video as well. So if say I wanted to download this PDF, I would click on this row and then click on download. As you can see, the file has been downloaded and I can view it. Okay, so let me show you how to build it. Okay, first and foremost, we need to have a data source, an Amazon S3 data source. So here I have already created a data source, but supposing that you were to create one, you would go to the DB queries, click on this plus button, a new data source, and then S3, and then fill out your access key, secret key. And of course, you have to select Amazon S3 here, which it is by default. Okay, so once you have your data source, you need to create queries on top of that, which you can do by clicking this new query button. So what I have done is to create 3 queries. So this you can see is an upload file query. So what it does is it takes a file and it uploads it to the Amazon S3 bucket. So, so you choose the action as create a new file. Here you provide the bucket name. Here you provide the path on which the file should be present on your Amazon S3 storage inside the given bucket. So if you notice here, I have given a directory name as s3_demo, and the file name itself is getting picked from the file picker widget. So we'll come to file picker widget in a minute. Okay, so the content is the content of the file that is also getting picked from the file picker widget. Next query is a read file query. So what this query does is it reads the content of a file which is present on the Amazon S3 bucket. So you need to choose the action as read file. This is again the bucket name. This is the file path inside of the bucket related to the bucket. If you do a run, you can see that it has read the file data. Now you need to be careful that by default base64 option is selected at yes, which means that the file data has been base64 encoded. Our next query is list files in a bucket query. So this query lists all the files present in the bucket. So we have a bucket name here and then the prefix. So prefix is the name of the directory in which all of my files are present. And this option is the expiry duration of signed URL. So what the list files in a bucket query does is it also provides you a signed URL along with the a list of the file, the name of the file. And by providing a number here, you can tell how many minutes you want this signed URL to be valid. So here you can see a sample result. Okay, let me take you to the page and what widgets we have. Okay, so what we have here is a file picker widget. This widget is specifically used for uploading files, for picking up files from user system. So if you click on the file picker, if you open the property pane, you can see what configuration has been done. So on file selected, I have set it, if I have configured it to run upload file query. So what happens is as soon as the user uploads the file, this upload file query runs and picks up the file data from this file picker widget. And when this operation succeeds, which is what is defined in on success, it calls list files from the bucket query. So this is the query which essentially fetches the list of all the files from the bucket. So in summary, you have provided two queries to be run sequentially. The first one uploads the file to the S3 storage. The second one fetches an updated list of files. Now this is a table widget. It simply reads all of the files present in the S3 storage via this query, list files from Amazon query. Okay, so this is an image widget. So in this widget, what we have done is we have picked up the data from the selected row of the table. We have configured that via this expression, this mustache expression. So what we have defined here is that table1.selectedRow signed URL. So basically it picks up the value of the signed URL column for whatever row is selected. For example. Next widget is a button widget. So I have relabeled it as download. And so this is a mustache query, which essentially does few things. First and foremost, it calls the read file query. So read file query is the one which reads the file data from the Amazon S3 storage. So once this query has been run, I have run the download function. So the download function is the one that actually triggers the download. It takes two parameters. One is the data of the content of the file. The other one is the name of the file. So if you see, the data of the file is being decoded here using the A to B function. So if you remember, I had previously mentioned that that by default, the data being read is base64 encoded. So that data has been decoded via this A to B function. And then the file name is provided via the selected row option of the table. So if you see table one dot selected row dot file name dot split because it provides the complete file path, basically directory plus the file name. So by picking up the last element from the array of the split strings, we are picking just the file name and discarding the directory path. Okay, so I think we have covered everything. We had, yeah, I think you can take over.
Cool. Thanks, Sumit. This is much needed whenever we are organizing our images for any certain applications or websites. Yeah, cool. So we also have docs. We have also updated the docs for uploading images to S3 via AppSmith. So if you guys want to check it out, you can go to docs.appsmith.com and go to uploading S3 tutorials there. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Okay, let me stop sharing this.
cool. All right. So do you guys have any other questions or do you want to discuss anything? Sergio, you have anything from the Discord community?
I think we have a request. I think it was not mentioned. It's users are requesting for a version control. It was requested on Friday last week and early today also.
Cool.
Version control of apps.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is a fairly, a popular request that we keep getting. And it's definitely something that is on our roadmap and something that we want to, build, probably something that will come out in, I wouldn't say immediately, but within the next, couple of months is where, as a user, you will be able to sync your AppSmith apps with your GitHub repository directly. And so that ways you can version control the layout itself, any actions or database queries that you have. So yeah, definitely something on our roadmap, but I think unfortunately it's not something that we are going to do immediately. But yeah, but it's something that we will do.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I had one question for Sumit. So Sumit, so the S3 plugin that you just demoed, does it also work for other providers which follow the S3 protocol as well? I think DigitalOcean Spaces and etc.
Yeah, but that's a great question. So recently we have implemented this feature where the S3 plugin is also works with any storage service which follows the S3 protocol. So if you have any other service like DreamObjects or anything, or a cloud, for example, the S3 plugin will work with it.
Okay, cool, awesome.
All right. So should we wrap up or do we have any other questions?
I think we have a couple of more features coming in the table widget and some minor improvements. I thought maybe I could take a couple of minutes to just demonstrate those as well.
All right.
Right. So let me just share my screen. So over here, we have a new URL data type in the table widget. What that means is that if you consider any of these columns as listing URLs, we can have them open in a separate tab just by configuring them as a URL. So over here in the avatar column, I've made sure that the column type is URL. And if you notice, there's a icon on the right that mentions that it'll open in a new tab. And when I click on it, it opens in a new tab. So this was one of the requested features that we have added to the table widget. It's still in testing and should be released soon. Another small update that we have made is in the date picker, where we have more information on how the formats are shown in the date picker. So in this format, you see that we can see that we have the current time manipulated in the format that you would expect to see when you format it. So on the right, we have the label mentioning what kind of format it is. So for example, this one is the ISO 8601 format. And on the left, we have the transformed string for the current time. Similarly, we have a few more additions to the list of formats that developers can leverage. These are the two things that I wanted to quickly mention.
Yeah, thanks, Abhinav, for telling us about the upcoming features. We are expecting them soon on the next releases. Cool then. So I guess we can wrap up this session. So for more information and more content, we are also publishing new tutorials on our blog. And also we are updating our docs with more how-to guides and tutorials so that you can integrate with different data sources and play with your APIs and then build UI. So also keep an eye on that. All right. Thanks for joining us for this office hours, and we'll be hosting one soon next week.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Behar.
Yeah.
Thanks, we are.